Welcome, brothers and sisters. Today we are going to look at communalism, and why we need its modern form. Let's start with what we did, when we were organized communally. So, what happened? The simple answer is slavery and colonialism. Over 100 African cities were destroyed and over 300 million lives lost. So, what did we do, in response to this terror? On every front we resisted. Emperor Menelik II, and his allies proved that unity defeats imperialism. In the current era, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah told us again and again that unity was the solution. Here is a short clip of Dr. Nkrumah.
This requires some plain speaking. And for the sake of Africa, let us speak plainly. As I see, our greatest danger stems from disunity and the inability to see that the realization of our hopes and aspirations, the realization of our objective of total African independence, and of our future progress and prosperity is inextricably bound up with the necessity to unify our policy and actions in connection with the continued struggle for independence and the greater task of economic and social construction beyond it. We need unity within the ranks of independent states. We need unity within the ranks of the freedom fighters still struggling to achieve independence. And we need unity between the already independent states and the freedom fighters. I do not think that too much stress can ever be laid upon this need for unity. It is our unity that the imperialist agencies are trying every means to obstruct and sever. It is the idea of African unity that they fear most. It seems only intelligent, therefore, for us to close our ranks and compact our forces.
This stamp is an indication of how Kwame Nkrumah was willing to work with anyone, in the interest of Africa and African unity. In the video that follows you will hear from brothers Sekou Neblet and Mukasa Rix. They are both first-hand witnesses of the revolutionary movement. Both brothers emerged from the civil rights, Black Power, and party-building movement. First the building of the Black Panther Party and now the building of the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, the AAPRP.
The social climate and atmosphere in America during the 40s was just like apartheid in South Africa. Complete and total segregation. Nkrumah went to an all-African school in Pennsylvania, Lincoln University. As a student in America, Kwame Nkrumah faced many hardships.
There was a point when Kwame Nkrumah didn't have any place to sleep. He used to sleep in the park and he used to eat leftovers.
Kwame Nkrumah slept in different people's houses. He washed dishes. He scrubbed floors, to eat, to have a place to live and study. And that's how he moved about. That's how he moved about. His life was very hard.
He's working one job and going to two different schools at the same time. But I think the positive of it was that it put him in contact with the African community in the United States who were oppressed. He had the opportunity to do a survey where he was able to go from house to house and learn from the direct experience of the African people.
Kwame Nkrumah went to school to prepare himself for a great struggle ahead. He knew he was very conscious of why he was there. And this, I think, sets him apart from a lot of students that had been there. Marcus Garvey had the largest Pan-African organization past or present, and his slogan was simple: Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. Pan-Africanism, properly defined, is the total liberation and unification of Africa under an all-African socialist government. Because at that time, every square inch of Africa, except for Ethiopia, was under direct colonial rule. The first 4 Pan-Africanist congresses were held in the U.S. and in Europe, and were not attended by Africans born on the continent. So this is what Kwame Nkrumah experienced, you know, during his time in the U.S. When he was not in school, he was busy moving about the United States, working with local organizations and national organizations like the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. He participated in many debates in Harlem about Pan-Africanism. In 1945, there was 5th Pan-African Congress in Manchester, England. And the significance of this particular Congress is that you had representatives from the African continent there. It was co-chaired by Kwame Nkrumah, Dr. W.B. Du Bois, and George Padmore. I mean, that was direct colonial rule. I mean, there was no significant infrastructure. The only infrastructure that was here was, of course, roads from the mines, you know, to the port. As Nkrumah was talking about independence now, the opposing forces were saying, no, we don't need that now. We should struggle for independence at some future date. And right away, of course, there was antagonism on the side of the UGC, aligning themselves with Europe, while Kwame Nkrumah was aligning himself with the masses of the people in Ghana. While Nkrumah was calling for positive action, you know, the strikes, the demonstrations and stuff, the other people were calling him a troublemaker and a rabble-rouser. England was forced to allow there to be a referendum of independence or staying with colonial rule, and the CPP won landslide victory. The election was met with enthusiasm and excitement everywhere in the African world. I mean, Ghana had become now the black star of the world. I mean, everybody looked to Ghana. His slogan was, thought without action is empty, and action without thought is blind, so that we need men and women who think like men and women of action and act like men and women of thought.
He invited George Padmore to serve as his advisor for African affairs. And he also invited the man who had been the president of the 5 Pan-African Congress, the first Pan-Africanist Congress, all the way through the 5th Pan-Africanist Congress, W.E.B. Du Bois. He invited him to serve as his minister for Encyclopedia Africana.
Ghana had become the Socialist Republic of Ghana because health care, education was free.
There's an African saying which, simply put, means he who has his mouth in the kitchen of his enemy can never be liberated. And Nkrumah sought to take our mouth from the kitchen of the metropolis.
In 1964, I was 21 years old. I came to Ghana, and what I witnessed was just phenomenal. I didn't want to leave. I see new schools being built every day, free education. I see new hospitals being built, new clinics, free health care. I see factories being built by Africans, not by Chinese, not by South Koreans, but by Africans.
In Ghana, you go there and you see African pilots. You see African news presenters. You hear African music, African clothes. And down in Ghana, we got our own national bank.
Nkrumah also established the Black Star Line, which was a shipping line to promote trade between the African countries and Africans in the diaspora and so on.
The significance of the flag of Ghana, and that is the symbolism held in the star.
Just as Kwame Nkrumah said that the African can determine his own future if he's left alone. And the star, it really represents that star that Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, had for the Black Star Liner.
This would have moved Africa toward economic independence. That antagonized the West.
And particularly Nkrumah's ambitions to unite the African continent within the context of a union government for Africa also made Nkrumah and his ideas a danger to imperialist interests.
Imperialist forces stepped up their opposition, stepped up their action. There was about 6 or 7 attempts on Nkrumah's life. In 1965, Osachifo Kwame Nkrumah wrote a book called NeoColonialism, the last stage of imperialism. In this book, Kwame Nkrumah lays out the grand master plan for Europe and America's recolonization of Africa, and did it elaborately. The Western world read that book and said, this man has to go. I came to Guinea in early '68, and this is when we proposed to Kwame Nkrumah to allow us to bring him back to Ghana, because we were ready to bring him back with guns blazing. I mean, we were young and we were ready and excited, pumped up. Kwame Nkrumah looked at us, and smiled. He took the guns out of our hands and put books in our hands. It was quite frustrating for me at the time. I didn't really understand. But thank God he did. In his infinite wisdom, he knew we didn't know what we were doing. He knew that we needed to study.
All of Africa is under what we call NeoColonialism. And colonialism is when white people dominate you and rule you. But neocolonialism is when they put black people in these positions and they hold the same guns on their people, where the same imperialist powers take out the diamonds, take out the gold, take out the silver, and work the people for nothing. So the people are rising up against that now. And they're saying that our land and all of these lands are supposed to be here to feed, clothe, educate, and give people free medical care, housing, and solve the problems of the people.
This country put us in slavery. They raped in Africa. They stole us from Africa. Africa is the richest land in the world, full of diamonds, gold, oil, rubber, zinc, tea, copper, pearl, cobalt, manganese. Africa, we're the smartest people in the world. Before the Europeans came and put us in slavery, we had the greatest civilizations in the world, in Egypt and Kemit and Ghana and Mali and Songhai, and to name 1,000 more. We were writing. We were doing everything. We were developing for hundreds or even thousands of years. Then we were invaded, put on slave ships. The name of the first slave ship to make it here with us was called Good Slave Ship Jesus. They took the Africans out of Africa, out their mama's arms, and put them on ships and scattered them all over Central and South America, scattered them all over the Caribbean, scattered them all over Europe, sold them like you're selling fruits. And then they went in there and not only raped the people, but they raped it for the resources. The diamonds, the gold, the oil, the rubber, the zinc, the tea, the copper, the cobalt, everything. They came here. The native people of this land, they committed genocide on them. North, Central, South America, genocide, all over the world. We found ourselves oppressed. And they raped us so bad and stole and robbed so much that a new economic system was born called capitalism. A system where the rich get richer and the poor get poor. The free people are two people always under capitalism. A have and a have not, a slave and a slave master, oppressed and an oppressor. These people always exist. So all over the world they dominated. Now the world is dominated. In 1804, Black people rose up in Haiti and won their freedom, defeated Napoleon, defeated the French, and they were free for 100 years. And they did everything to help everybody else get free. The Haitians said to the world, to black people, if you can make it to Haiti, you will be free. And it was a powerful nation, but France, United States, all of them teamed up on Haiti, and look at Haiti today. They're doing it deliberately, starving them, got these mud biscuits. Again, Africa's our land. We'll never be free until Africa's free. Then in 1957, Kwame Nkrumah got independence. Guinea got independence. In the Congo, that was a man named Lumumba. The liberation movement in the Congo. The United Nations and the European powers turned on Lumumba, CIA. They killed him and put Congo in slavery and put him under this new system, NeoColonialism. You got a black general, a black army, and they working for the imperialists. And all over Africa, they have put these people in place. And all of them got modern guns, and they ain't part of that imperialism. They hold the guns on their own people, where they steal what they can get and let the imperialists come into Africa and take the diamonds, the gold, the oil, the rubber, the zinc, the cobalt, and leave the people starving to death. And now, Black Power movement said you need power, you need land. Black Power movement pointed us to Africa. It pointed us to a concept called pan-africanism. Pan-africanism said, Africa is your land, you'll never be free until you're liberated. It said that all the Africans, wherever they've been scattered in the world, you have to put them back together. Put them back together, unite. Unite like China has done. Unite like other people in the world are doing. Well, we can feed our own people. We won't have to ask the Europeans for food. We won't have to ask the capitalist America for food. We won't have to ask the Chinese for help. We can do it ourselves. We can do it ourselves. But the only way we can do it is revolution. Everybody has to go through revolution. And if we make revolution, we don't want a system like what they got. We don't want to be the killers and murderers and genocidal people that they are. We want to make a contribution and raise up humanity. We want to make sure that every baby got food in their mouth. Everybody got medical care. Everybody got the highest form of education. Everybody got housing and all that kind of stuff. We want to do it for ourselves. In order to do it, we got to liberate Africa. We got to help all the freedom fighting nations in the world. Thank God for Cuba. Fidel has showed us the way. Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. And all those movements in Central and South America, they're rising up. And now it's time for the Africans to rise up. And one thing all freedom fighters agree to is the economic system, socialism.
Modern communalism is scientific socialism.
Mort à l'impérialisme.
A lutte continua. Africa must unite.